Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you're at. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different. Don't ask me what this accent is. I wanted to do a story time today and give you all a little more insight into my life and journey. So here we go. As you know from the title, this is the story of how I shattered my kneecap. And it's not really a tragic story so much as a funny one because of how it happened. I've made some pretty silly decisions in my life that have had some pretty big consequences. But I wanted to share this story because it changed the course of my life for the better. And I'm hopeful that what I learned from my experiences will help someone else out there as well. So here we go. The year was 2014. It was summertime in Southern California. But really, it was summer 2014. I was going into my junior year of college. I was in ROTC at the time, and at the end of summer, I had a training to be considered for a contract because I joined ROTC late in college. Does it look like my hair's separate from, I feel like my head, like it looks like I'm bald and my hair is a wig that's just kind of sitting on top of my head. Let's see if we can remedy this. I haven't washed my hair in a while. I was attending St. John's University at the time, and I graduated in 2016. This is just what we're working with today, huh? I took my hair down. I'm just gonna be fussing with my hair this whole video. I don't have anywhere to go today, so it's okay. It's okay, it's okay. So I was attending St. John's University in Queens, New York, and I'm originally from Southern California, kind of. My dad was in the military, so I grew up moving around, but eventually he retired and settled in Southern California. So while I was in college, I spent most of my summer breaks and winter breaks in Southern California, and for the shorter holiday breaks like Thanksgiving and Easter, I would go home with my friends from college who are from the East Coast and spend the holidays with their families. But it was summertime, so I was at home in Southern California. It was a really great summer, honestly. I spent a lot of time at the beach, hanging out with my friends. My track coach from high school recruited me and one of my best friends, his name is House, to help him renovate his house. So we were doing projects like cleaning, painting, small repairs, helping him move furniture. We had really long, hot days, but it didn't really matter because House is one of those people that it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're just gonna have the best time. We just had the best time together. My track coach was honestly really great too, obviously for hiring us, but he paid for our lunches, and on the weekends we'd have these little kickbacks. His brother was around, his little son was around, a few of our other track friends would come by and they were also helping him too. And the whole day, you know, all day, every day, we would all just be clowning with each other, you know. It was really ideal and we had a lot of fun together. This hair. Jeff, I need you. So this is an important detail and where the storyline starts to shift. My coach had an outdoor swimming pool. It was an in-ground concrete swimming pool, okay? And something you need to know about me. I used to be very go hard, competitive, aggressive. As I said before, my dad was in the military. I have an older brother. We grew up doing all kinds of sports: soccer, swimming, boxing. We even went to golf camp a couple of summers, which actually I really enjoy that. But starting in high school, I also developed anxiety, and physical activity was my main outlet. And when I got to college and I Stop. Morty. Come here. You big bastard. Morty. God damn it. Okay. Morty's along for story time. So, I had a lot of anxiety, and physical activity was my outlet. Sports was my primary outlet. Skating too. When I say skating, I mean longboarding. I tried to learn how to skate, like how to do tricks. Not for me, but I enjoy longboarding. So when I got to college and I wasn't competing in sports anymore, I started weightlifting. And then when I joined ROTC, I was doing PT for 4 days a week. And then I was doing CrossFit right after PT. So I was, you know, you can imagine the kind of person I was, just super anxious, super aggressive. My anxiety manifested itself in that aggression. Needless to say, being that competitive and involved in sports, I like to talk a lot of shit. So
this whole situation actually started out as a joke. One day, House and I were just hanging out by the pool, and I was like, you should try to jump over it, you know. And he's very athletic too, also ran track, also did a lot of sports. And he's definitely capable of making that kind of jump. It was about an 8-foot jump or so, but obviously still a terrible idea. But you know, throughout the summer I just kept talking shit. And the answer was always the same, like, no, I'm not trying to bust my head open, which is completely respectable. But the jokes kept going. So fast forward to the end of July. One of my other best friends, Kat, had come to visit. Kat also comes from a military family and had moved away while we were in high school. And so I hadn't seen her in like 3 years. And this happened like 3 days into her into her trip. So I'm super sorry about that. And also you're amazing through the entire thing. So also thank you. Since Kat was in town, our normal weekend kickback was obviously a little more special. My coach barbecued on that day. We had a few more people over than we normally do. My brother was there. It was an event. We were all goofing and gaffing, hanging out by the pool, and I brought it up again. You know, I said something along the lines of, I've been trying to get House to jump over the pool, but he won't do it. Now, my brother, who's about 6 feet tall, 6'1", long limbs, also very athletic, as you know, grew up doing sports too. He sizes up the pool, sizes up the situation, and without even a running start, just makes the leap. Let me show you this man did. He literally, look at this outfit, wow. He literally just like gets down really low and just flings himself over the pool. Just fucking leapfrogs it, okay? Clears the jump, like clears it without even a problem. So House, seeing that my brother was able to clear that jump, was like, oh, I think I can actually do that, right? And so he psychs himself up a little bit for it. He gets a running start and jumps over the pool, and he clears it just fine. So now, now the tables have fully turned on me. Of course, being the competitive person that I was at the time, and after talking all that shit, and now they're talking shit, now I feel like I have to do it, okay? So I was super in my head about it. So I was making practice jumps on the grass. I was really trying to rationalize it any which way I could. I was way too far in my head about it.
But after enough time and enough rationalization and enough practice on the grass, I had willed myself to try it, okay? So I make the jump. And I don't know if you've ever had that moment in the middle of a decision or a situation, just sheer regret. My body and my brain all stopped at once and was like, you shouldn't have done this. But I had that thought mid-jump, mid-air. And instead of throwing myself back into the water, I saw it through. But obviously with that moment of regret, that hesitation, wasn't enough momentum to fully carry me to where I needed to be. So I hit the ledge of the pool on the other side, knee first. And then I fell back into the pool. But here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, I can't imagine how much that hurt and blah, blah, blah. But I actually didn't really, I felt the impact on my knee, but I also hit my face. So I thought that I knocked myself out. Like the way I hit the ledge was, I hit the ledge knee first, and then I grabbed the ledge with my hands, and I hit my face on my hands, and then I fell back into the pool. So when I had surfaced, I was trying to figure out, am I still here? I was, trying to assess the situation. And then I look down and my knee is completely caved in. And I was hoping that it was like the light refracting off the water or something like that, but I knew that it was just done for. And again, I didn't really feel pain. It was the shock and horror of seeing that I started yelling. So I was yelling, "Oh my God, my knee! Oh my God, my knee!" And they run over and they pull me out of the water and they see that it was done for. And then of course, you know, my friends called the paramedics, and mind you, this whole time, my coach had gone to Costco to get some more food and supplies for the barbecue. So he came home to this scene. He came home to me being laid out on the concrete. And this was the funniest thing because he was trying to find anyone other than me to blame for it. He was like, "Who did this? Corey, was that you?" And he was like, just picking out random people to blame. And then I was just like, "No, it was me. You know, I tried to jump the pool." And he was like, "Oh, honey, you know you've never been good at long jump." And I was like, "Yeah, I know." Thanks. So the paramedics came and I called my dad from the ambulance and I told him what happened. He thought that it might be a minor injury or something, but I told him it was done for. So he was like, "Okay, I'm on my way." And I knew that ROTC was done for at that point. I didn't know what the extent of my injury was at the time, but I knew at the very least I wasn't going to make it to training because it was only in a couple weeks from that point. I had to wait 2.5 weeks to have surgery because of referral bullshit. And I didn't really know what they were going to do for my surgery either. Initially, they wanted to wire my knee back together because my patella, from what I had known at that time, my patella was shattered. So I had gotten a referral to have my surgery done in Loma Linda, and they didn't tell me what the procedure was going to involve because we were only going off of x-rays. I didn't have an MRI done or anything like that. So I found out what had happened after my surgery. So the bottom portion of my patella was essentially dust. So it was beyond trying to wire it back together. But the top portion was in pretty good condition. So they saved that and they replaced it where it was before, and I'll explain that in a second. And then they removed the bottom portion of my patella, which is about 40%. So I have 60% of a patella left. I had also torn my ACL, which I didn't know until after the surgery. During the surgery, they just went in and repaired it. So I can show you guys the scar. I actually do have pictures of when I first broke it and when it was caved in, and then when it like started ballooning up afterwards, but it's pretty graphic, so I think I'm gonna just leave that there. But I can show you the scar and explain a little more what I'm talking about with the surgery. So that's my scar. When I broke my knee, the bottom part, because I hit the ledge pretty much like right here. So the bottom part was shattered, and then it pushed the top part, the 60% that they kept, up here. So my kneecap was like here for like 2.5 weeks. It was pretty gnarly. And they had me in this fuck ass like Velcro makeshift brace for that 2.5 weeks. So I waited 2.5 weeks to have surgery, and then after I had surgery, I had to wait another month for everything to heal before I could start physical therapy. The whole thing was pretty brutal. And again, because I didn't use that leg for so long, I actually didn't even know how to use it. Like Kat literally helped me learn how to walk again, because I had to first learn to walk with crutches, and she helped me with that process because my leg just didn't even know what to do, which is crazy. I'd been walking my whole life. And then, only a month and a half of not using my leg, it just didn't know how to work anymore. But here we are. My healing process was pretty intensive. I was in physical therapy 3 times a week for the next few months. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but I spent this semester at home in California and I did my classes for St. John's online. It was a really intense recovery process, mentally and physically, because for the first time I didn't have that physical outlet for all of my anxiety. The recovery for the injury itself was pretty excruciating as well. So all of it was just very difficult, but this really has a happy ending because all things considered, it could have been a lot worse. Like I could have actually busted my head open on that ledge instead of my knee. And now I'm fully functional. I have very few physical limitations because of my knee. You know, I can weightlift, I can skate again, I can run, I can do pretty much all of the same things, just with some stiffness, some pain, whatever, you know, but that's nothing, especially considering the extent of the injury and what it could have been. So I'm honestly very grateful, very lucky. But as I mentioned before, this really changed my life for the better. It completely changed my life path. Obviously ROTC didn't work out and I was disappointed, and my dad was definitely disappointed, but ultimately I knew it wasn't the right path for me. Like if I had seen ROTC through, then I would most likely be in the military right now, and that just wasn't the right path for me. So I'm glad that it didn't work out. But also because I spent the semester at home in California doing my classes online, then I saved a shit ton of money on housing, and so I was able to study abroad in Europe the next semester, which was in itself a life-changing, transformative experience and still the best 6 months of my life. But ultimately, I think the biggest takeaway I got from this was because I didn't have that physical outlet anymore for my anxiety and for all of my angst, that was the beginning of my relationship with myself. You know, when I started physical therapy, I was able to get some physical activity and burn off some of that energy. I also started working out, but doing upper body stuff. But for that first month and a half, I couldn't do anything and I was going out of my mind, and I knew that that wasn't healthy. Like I knew that you're supposed to be able to chill out and not be antsy, not be anxious, not be going crazy. And so that really made me reevaluate my own mental health and the cause of my anxiety and everything else. That was the first time that I realized and acknowledged to myself that I need to go inward and that there's things that I need to deal with and I need to heal, because just sitting there all the time, everything was coming to the surface and I couldn't ignore it anymore. And I had to learn to hold space for myself. And so that's actually when I started meditating. I'm not going to preach about meditation or anything like that in this video. You know, down the line, I want to start talking about tools that have helped me through different situations, different resources that have helped me through anxiety and depression and grief, loss, things like that. But this was the beginning of that mental and emotional transformation. I think it would be too simplistic to say that the moral of this story is don't be a dumbass or everything happens for a reason, because the reality of the situation is that I made a decision that had really big consequences, and I chose to learn from it and I chose to make the most of it. But before that, I had also been aware that something in my life needed to change on a fundamental level. I knew that I wasn't happy or healthy emotionally or mentally, but that was something that I hadn't explored yet. You know, jumping over that pool was a really silly decision that I made, but it was a catalyst for so much more. It was a catalyst for the change that I needed to make in my own life. And that's the thing too, is that can come about in many forms. It didn't have to be me breaking my knee if I had listened to myself in the first place. You know, if I had held space for myself and acknowledged that I was was in pain and that something wasn't right or that I wasn't healthy. But sometimes the universe will tell you to sit the fuck down, and so I guess that's that's my little nugget of advice here is don't wait until you get knocked on your ass to start paying attention to your own needs. It takes a lot of time and practice to undo your own toxicity, to undo those toxic mental habits, and to then form new ones. That all takes a lot of time and practice. But it's possible. It's absolutely possible. Years later and a lot more trauma, I'm still on that journey. I'm still learning and I'm still practicing every single day. But this is the most self-aware I've ever been. This is the most solid I've ever felt and the most comfortable within my own skin that I've ever felt. So I want to continue to share my stories and what I've learned and what has helped me through my journey in hopes of maybe it helping someone else out there too who doesn't have access to therapy or other resources, or someone who just doesn't know where to start. Of course, I'm still going to make the silly videos. I genuinely enjoy doing that, and comedy is therapeutic in its own right, and it's always been a big coping mechanism for me. So that's where we're at. So thank you for being on this journey with me, and we'll see where this thing goes. Hopefully it's helpful, if not at the very least entertaining. So I'll see y'all next Monday.